All right, Raiders Nation, buckle up because there's a lot to unpack when it comes to our team right now. The hottest conversation buzzing around is all about the quarterback situation, and it seems like every fan I talk to has a different opinion. Geno Smith has been under a lot of heat lately, and honestly, it is not hard to understand why. The performances have been frustrating, mistakes piling up, drives stalling, and fans are getting restless. Some people out there are convinced that Aiden O'Connell should step in as soon as he is healthy again. Remember, he was placed on short-term injured reserve, which forced him to miss at least 4 games. That means, technically, he could come back as early as Week 5 against Indianapolis. Once he comes off that list, the Raiders would have a 3-week window to get him back on the field, or else his season would be over. And let's be real, nobody in Raider Nation believes his season is done. Here's where things get even more complicated. Kenny Pickett is also in the mix after the Raiders went out and made a trade to get him. So now, the fans are left debating between Geno Smith, Kenny Pickett, and Aiden O'Connell. The noise is only going to get louder as O'Connell gets closer to being ready. I've heard plenty of people shout from the rooftops that O'Connell is already better than Geno. And while that might sound bold, the frustration with Geno's play makes the argument feel more and more appealing. My honest take, if all 3 guys are healthy, the team is still going to roll with Geno. He was brought in as the starter, and unless he completely implodes week after week, that is not going to change anytime soon. But it's impossible to ignore the fact that the Raiders paid extra to secure Kenny Pickett. That shows you exactly how the front office views this situation. If it ever becomes a debate strictly between Pickett and O'Connell, the Raiders are going with Pickett, no doubt about it. But quarterbacks are only one piece of the puzzle. Another storyline that has been flying under the radar is about Lonnie Johnson Jr., the defensive back, went down earlier in the season with a broken fibula, and at the time, it looked like his year was over. The Raiders placed him on short-term injured reserve, and now, technically, he could also return this week if he is healthy enough. The question is, should the Raiders rush him back? The defense has been struggling in the secondary. That is obvious, but Lonnie Johnson Jr. does not really solve the biggest issue, which is the lack of a true free safety. Still, before he got hurt, Johnson was being used in some interesting ways. The coaching staff liked him in those big nickel packages, and they were even testing him as a potential starter in certain alignments. He is a physical player, strong against the run, and that could be valuable, especially going up against a team like the Colts, who love to pound the football. Even if he is not the answer at free safety, having him back would definitely boost depth and help on special teams. Now, speaking of injuries, the one that might hurt the most is Kolton Miller. It has been confirmed that the left tackle is dealing with a high ankle sprain, and that is one of those injuries that can linger for weeks. I do not see any way he plays before the bye week in Week 8. Realistically, the earliest we could see him back is Week 9 against Jacksonville. That is a brutal blow because Miller is not just another offensive lineman. He is one of the best left tackles in the league, and losing him forces the Raiders to shuffle pieces around in the trenches. The offensive line actually had their best performance of the season right before this injury, so the timing could not be worse. Without Miller, there are a few different routes the team could go. They could stick Stone Forsythe out at left tackle since he already stepped in when Miller went down, but confidence in him is extremely low. Another option is to throw rookie Charles Grant into the fire. He has been a healthy scratch most weeks, but sometimes the only way to develop is by playing, even if that means making mistakes. Remember, Kolton Miller himself allowed 16 sacks as a rookie and still grew into one of the best in the league. Then, there's the wild card scenario where the staff shuffles the entire line, moving Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, and DJ Glaze into new positions, and even trying Alex Kappa at right guard. That one feels desperate, but with this coaching staff, you can never rule out anything. As if that was not enough, the cornerback situation is another dark cloud hanging over this team. Eric Stokes left Week 4 with a knee injury and was unable to return. Considering his history with knee problems, that is not a good sign at all. Stokes was supposed to be the physical corner this defense badly needs, but the injuries keep piling up. Behind him, things do not look good either. Darian Porter and Blue Kelly have been getting significant snaps, but both have struggled badly, and it feels like opposing quarterbacks are targeting them on purpose. Add in the fact that Cameron Richardson has been inactive with a hamstring issue that is not going away, and suddenly the Raiders' cornerback room looks like one of the weakest in the league. That is a scary thought going into matchups against teams that can stretch the field. There's a bit of optimism, though, when it comes to tight end Michael Mayer. Last week it did not sound like he was going to play, but the tone around the coaching staff shifted, and now it seems more likely he is trending toward returning. Pairing him with Brock Bowers and two tight end sets could be a sneaky way to get the offense rolling again. We saw flashes of that approach, and it really helped open up the running game. Meyer's return would also provide another reliable option in the passing game, which the Raiders desperately need outside of Bowers, Jakobi Meyers, and Trey Tucker. Depth at pass catcher is a real issue, so finding creative ways to get more production out of Mayer and Bowers together could be the key. And then there is Ashton Janney. Talk about a breakout performance. 3 touchdowns and over 6 yards per carry is the type of game that makes everyone stand up and take notice. The question is, can he do it again? With Miller out and the pass protection looking shaky, the Raiders might have no choice but to lean heavily on Janney. That means 20 touches a game, making him the centerpiece of the offense. If this team is going to fight through injuries and inconsistent quarterback play, the running game has to take over. Physical, downhill football might be the only way forward right now. Janney has already shown he can handle that load when the blocking is there, and if the Raiders commit to it, he could be the spark that keeps this season alive. The truth is, the Raiders are at crossroads. Injuries are piling up, fans are restless about the quarterback, and the schedule does not get any easier. But in the chaos, there are opportunities. Aiden O'Connell could return and add fire to the quarterback competition. Lonnie Johnson Jr. could provide some needed depth in the secondary. Michael Mayer could slide back in and give the offense another weapon. And Ashton Janney could become the workhorse that changes games. It is a lot to process, but one thing is certain. Raider Nation will be loud, opinionated, and ready for whatever comes next. If you look at where the Raiders stand heading into this matchup with the Colts, it feels like the team is standing on a knife's edge. Every storyline we just talked about flows into one central question. What identity will this team have moving forward? The offensive line without Kolton Miller is not just a shuffle of names on a depth chart. It is a complete challenge to the foundation of how this offense wants to operate. Protecting Geno Smith, or whoever ends up under center, becomes a monumental task when your blindside protector is out. That is why so many fans are calling for a heavier reliance on the ground game. When you cannot fully trust your pass protection, you need to run the ball with authority, and that is where Ashton Janney comes in. Janney's performance last week felt like a revelation. He was decisive, explosive, and physical, hitting holes hard and refusing to go down on first contact. For a team that has lacked consistency in the backfield, seeing him run with that kind of energy was a breath of fresh air. But it cannot just be a one-off. The Raiders need to design an offense that leans into his strengths, keeps the defense guessing with inside and outside zone runs, and then uses play action to open up the field for guys like Jakobi Meyers and Brock Bowers. You can almost picture it. Geno fakes the handoff, linebackers bite on Janney's threat, and suddenly there is space downfield that has been missing for weeks. That is the formula that makes sense when your offensive line is banged up and your quarterback is struggling with confidence. But here's the catch. Relying heavily on the run also means defenses are going to start stacking the box, daring Geno Smith to beat them through the air. That is where the Raiders need to get creative. 2 tight end sets with Michael Mayer and Brock Bowers give you flexibility because both guys can block and both can be dangerous as receivers. If you line them up together, defenses are forced into tough decisions. Do you bring in extra linebackers to handle the run, risking mismatches in the passing game? Or do you stay light and give Janney more space to pound the rock? Those are the kinds of schematic wrinkles that could give this team an edge, especially against a Colts defense that is aggressive but vulnerable to being worn down by physical football. On the defensive side, it all comes back to the secondary. Raider Nation has seen this movie before. Injuries pile up, the rotation gets thin, and suddenly opposing quarterbacks are lighting up the scoreboard. Eric Stokes' health is critical here. Without him, The Raiders are left with cornerbacks who simply have not shown they can hold up against starting-caliber receivers. Darian Porter and Q Blue Kelly have taken their lumps, and there is no sugarcoating it. Teams are targeting them with success. That is why Raider fans are desperate for any kind of reinforcement, whether it is Stokes coming back or Lonnie Johnson Jr. being clear to play. Johnson is not a pure free safety, but the versatility he brings gives the coaching staff more options with their nickel and dime packages. Sometimes just having another body you trust enough to rotate and can prevent the whole unit from collapsing. And that is the bigger picture here. This team has been walking a tightrope between keeping the season alive and slipping into a downward spiral. The truth is, the Raiders are not in a position to just wait around for guys to get healthy. They need players already on the roster to step up in ways they have not before. Charles Grant is one of them. If the coaching staff has any belief in his future as a left tackle, now is the time to test it. Yes, he will make mistakes. Yes, he will get beat. But rookies have to take their lumps before they grow into the players you hope they can become. The same logic applies to young defensive backs. If Porter and Kelly are going to keep seeing the field, then the team has to put them in positions where they can succeed instead of leaving them isolated against top receivers. Maybe that means more help over the top. Maybe that means mixing coverages, but doing nothing is not an option. All of this swirls back to Geno Smith. He is the lightning rod for the fan base. The player everyone debates endlessly, the one whose performance dictates whether games are close or out of reach. When he is off, the whole offense sputters. When he is sharp, you can see glimpses of what this team could be. The problem is consistency has been missing, and Raider Nation has very little patience left. That is why the return of Aiden O'Connell looms so large. Even if he is not ready to step in as a savior, just the idea of another option energizes fans. And Kenny Pickett, for all the questions surrounding him, represents a safety net the team did not have before. It is not often that a franchise has three quarterbacks in the mix who could realistically see the field, but that is where the Raiders stand right now. As the Colts game approaches, the pressure feels heavier than ever. The offensive line will be under the microscope without Miller. The defensive backs will be tested against a physical running game and timely passes. Geno Smith will be scrutinized with every throw he makes. And Ashton Jandy will carry the weight of expectations after his breakout. These are not small storylines. They are season-defining. Win this game, and you can start building momentum. Lose it, and the noise from the outside will only grow louder. Fans will demand changes. Calls for O'Connell will get deafening. And the coaching staff will face questions about their decisions at every level. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on our Las Vegas Raiders. And don't be shy. Drop your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers have been circulating through the NFL corridors, but sources close to the matter suggest that the Los Angeles Raiders have landed a major coup in free agency. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Detroit Lions standout wide receiver, is reportedly set to join the Raiders, and if the rumors hold true, this move could instantly transform the team's aerial attack. Insiders hint that the deal has been quietly finalized, though no official announcement has yet been made. St. Brown's arrival would inject an electrifying element into the Raiders' offense. Known for his precise route running, sure hands, and uncanny ability to find the end zone in tight spaces, he could become the focal point of Las Vegas' passing game. Sources familiar with the situation suggest that quarterback Derek Carr, or perhaps a newly installed signal caller, will benefit enormously from the chemistry St. Brown brings. There's already speculation that the Raiders could see a dramatic uptick in offensive production, particularly in the red zone. League observers are buzzing over the potential fit. The Raiders have long sought a consistent, explosive weapon in the passing game, and St. Brown fits the bill perfectly. While the team has featured flashes of brilliance from younger receivers and tight ends, adding a proven playmaker could be the catalyst for turning close losses into victories. Some insiders even hint that the front office is considering adjusting the playbook to maximize St. Brown's versatility, potentially stretching defenses and creating more opportunities for the entire offense. Among fans, the rumor has sparked an immediate wave of excitement. Social media feeds are already flooded with highlights, mock formations, and bold predictions. While nothing is confirmed publicly, the mere possibility of St. Brown in silver and black uniforms has reignited conversations about the Raiders as potential playoff contenders. Analysts are quietly recalibrating expectations, suggesting that with this addition, the team could challenge for dominance in the AFC West in a way not seen in recent seasons. Even though the move is still technically in the rumor stage, one thing is clear. If Amon St. Brown does indeed suit up for the Raiders, the league should brace for a sharper, faster, and more dangerous passing attack. Coaches, defenders, and fans alike are now left to wonder whether this whispered deal might be the turning point the franchise has long been chasing. For the Raiders, the horizon could suddenly look a lot brighter and a lot more explosive. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Las Vegas Raiders, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.